There is a very specific type of person who hears the phrase, "party this weekend," and immediately, almost instinctively, starts planning their excuse. And it's not dramatic, it's not even emotional, it's automatic. Not because they're depressed, not because they're socially awkward, not because they secretly hate people, but because, deep down, they already know something about themselves that others don't. They genuinely would rather be alone. For a long time, society looked at this behavior with concern. Like silence was suspicious, like preferring your own company meant something was missing inside you. If you didn't crave noise, crowds, or constant interaction, people assumed you needed fixing. But psychology has finally caught up. There is a massive, fundamental difference between the pain of being lonely and the peace of simply being alone. Loneliness feels heavy. It drains you. It makes silence feel loud and uncomfortable. But solitude does the opposite. It restores. It sharpens. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath all day. One is a wound that needs healing. The other, it might actually be one of the clearest signs of mental strength psychology. To truly understand this, we need to look closely at the psychology of people who like to be alone. For decades, experts lumped everyone who enjoyed solitude into one uncomfortable category: loners, hermits, antisocial personalities. As if liking quiet meant you were emotionally unstable, as if enjoying your own thoughts meant you were disconnected from reality. But those labels were lazy shortcuts. In 2016, a team of researchers at the University of Buffalo asked a question that completely reframed the conversation. What if liking solitude has nothing to do with fear? They identified a trait called unsociability. Not social anxiety, not avoidance, not emotional damage, just a healthy, non-fearful preference for being alone. And that distinction changes everything, especially when we talk about the psychology of people who hate crowded places. Most of the time, these individuals aren't scared of crowds. They're not intimidated by people. They're not bad at socializing. Their brains simply process stimulation differently. This is a cornerstone of modern introvert psychology. Extroverts crave large dopamine spikes from social interaction, noise, energy, movement, conversation. But people who prefer solitude have a much more sensitive dopamine system. They hit their limit faster. So what feels exciting to one person can feel exhausting to another. For them, a crowded room isn't fun. It's draining. It's a sensory assault disguised as entertainment. Think of it like this. It's very similar to the psychology of people who prefer winter over summer. An extrovert thrives in the summer of social life, bright, loud, fast, high energy. But the solitary person finds peace in the winter. Quiet mornings, dim light, stillness, reflection. They don't hate the sun. They just function better in the cool. They don't need external heat to feel alive. They generate their own warmth. And here's where it gets scientifically fascinating. Brain scans show that when these individuals are alone, their prefrontal cortex becomes highly active. This is the core of deep thinker psychology. When they're sitting in silence, they aren't bored. They aren't empty. They're not disconnected. Their minds are working, processing memories, solving problems, connecting ideas. This is overthinking psychology in its productive form. Not anxiety, not spiraling, but deep internal computation. It's why real breakthroughs almost never happen in group brainstorms. They happen in the shower, on solo walks, late at night when the world finally shuts up. This drive for independence strongly mirrors the psychology of people who love cats. Like cats, these individuals value autonomy, affection on their own terms, space without guilt. They don't need constant validation or a pack to feel complete. They are content within themselves, and that level of self-sufficiency can feel threatening or confusing to people who rely on external reassurance. This same principle explains the psychology of people who hate having guests over. It's not rudeness, it's not dislike. Their home is a sanctuary, a charging station for their mental energy. When guests arrive, that charger shuts off. They're on, hosting, managing energy, performing social presence. Protecting that space isn't antisocial.
It's emotional intelligence psychology. They know exactly what they need to function, and they respect it. But we need to pause here and ask an important question. Are you choosing solitude or hiding inside it? This is where self-awareness psychology becomes essential. Sometimes, the desire to be alone isn't preference, it's protection. A shield built from past trauma, betrayal, or exhaustion. That's isolation used as armor. But healthy unsociability comes from abundance, not fear. They aren't running away from people, they're running towards themselves. Personality research now confirms something powerful. People who embrace solitude often form healthier relationships because they aren't codependent. They don't look for someone to complete them. They show up whole. In Japan, they even celebrate this idea with a term called hitori jikan, intentional alone time. Solo karaoke booths, single-seat restaurants, quiet spaces designed for one. They understand why people like being alone isn't about isolation, it's about restoration. So if you're the person who thrives in quiet, if silence feels like fuel instead of emptiness, if staying in feels better than forcing yourself out, you're not broken. Your brain is wired for depth, clarity, and inner peace. In a world addicted to noise, your ability to sit with yourself without distraction is a rare form of strength. And hey, if you're watching this alone, wrapped in a blanket like a certified hermit burrito, go ahead and like, share, or subscribe. We promise, no surprise dinner invitations.